Right now at noon, Crawford County officials warn drivers after floodwaters destroy roads.
And we've got some of those clouds out there this afternoon. We do have more rain chances on the way. We'll have a look at that forecast coming up.
Plus, we'll hear the story of a 104-year-old World War II veteran from Southwest Missouri.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
A former police chief is on the run after escaping from a prison in Arkansas. This is KOAM News at noon. I'm Elise Noe. Grant Hardin, the former police chief of Gateway, Arkansas, escaped from the North Central Unit in Calico Rock, where he has been held since 2017. Now, while officials have not released many details due to the investigation, they did say Hardin disguised himself to mimic law enforcement when he escaped the North Central Unit, which you can see in this picture. Hardin was serving a 30-year sentence for the October 2017 murder of James Appleton. Now, he was also serving a 50-year sentence for the rape of an elementary school teacher in Rogers, Arkansas. Corrections officials say they are working closely with local, state, and federal agencies. In Crawford County, Kansas, several roads were shut down after heavy flooding washed out portions of the roadway. Commissioner Bruce Blair says the damage is significant, and county officials are urging people to turn around and find a safer route instead of trying to drive through. They say the road and bridge department immediately began assessing the damage and implementing safety closures while also looking at long-term repairs. Missouri's governor is seeking a federal disaster declaration in response to the May 16th severe storms and tornadoes. Governor Mike Kehoe is asking that President Trump approve the declaration for the city of St. Louis County, and 6 southeast Missouri counties. Additionally, the governor says the state National Guard will help with cleanup in the St. Louis area. The May 16th storms in Missouri claimed 7 lives and caused widespread destruction of homes, businesses, and public infrastructure. Now let's head over to Chris Warner for a look at the forecast.
We've just had an absolutely rocky, severe weather season since April of this year already, with several events. Thankfully, no events this week, other than we're still dealing with some of that rain. Some good news is some of that rain we were expecting to kind of start filling in through the morning and noon hours has not filled in just yet. Now, it's still on the way, but that does help reduce the amount of rain we're going to see, which will help with some of those flooding concerns. Of course, that's live look downtown Pittsburgh. MoDOT camera 32nd in range line in Joplin. Also, as you can see, cloudy skies overhead, but we are starting to see those showers begin, and even a couple of thunderstorms begin to fill in. They're just a couple hours late, but in all honesty, it's best that they're late, because again, that reduces how much more rain we're going to get overall. Yesterday started where we should be about, but still, as you can see, 18 degrees cooler than what our normal high is for this time of year. Doing a little better today, 64 Joplin, 63 in Pittsburgh. Temperatures, we've got low mid 60s for just about everybody. Stockton a little warmer up there, sitting at 66. We're going to eventually again make the mid 60s, then we'll start to cool back slowly. Rain chances should wrap up by 6, and fog begins to develop late tonight. We'll have another look at your forecast, talk about the fog, talk about the rain, and how our upcoming weekend is shaping up here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
Chris, thanks. Well, community members gathered at Webb City's Mount Hope Memorial Park for a Memorial Day remembrance. Charlie Tutu put together the service with the presentation of colors and the playing of taps. The Webb City mayor says it's important that at least part of the holiday is about honoring our veterans. And more than 16 million Americans fought in World War II, and according to the Department of Veteran Affairs, about 66,000 are still living today. Reporter Jackie Garrity was able to sit down with one of our Southwest Missouri veterans with an incredible story of bravery and a call to serve.
It may seem as if it's an average day for the nurses at the Jane Taylor Veterans Outpatient Clinic in Springfield. Harriet Daniels is here to get a checkup, something she's been doing for 40 years at the VA.
So we're listening to your hearts.
What you wouldn't know about Harriet, just by looking at her, is that she's also a 104-year-old World War II veteran.
In communications, the front was only about, I think it was about 10 miles away, and we could hear the guns and stuff. But fortunately, They never did, the Germans never did break through.
Harriet has called Aurora home for decades, where her son Tommy, a Vietnam War veteran, lives 5 blocks from her. She was even given the key to the city at her 100th birthday, but she was born in 1921 in Northeast Oklahoma.
Of course, I was raised during the Depression, so nobody had any money. Everybody was poor, I guess.
Harriet and her family were living in Kansas City when World War II broke out. Her brother was drafted and sent to the South Pacific.
Every day when I got off of work, there was this poster, big poster, and it had Uncle Sam, and he says, "I want you." So I went home and I told Mom that I was going to join the WAC.
After Harriet joined the WAC, the Women's Army Auxiliary Corps, she was sent to Fort Des Moines and then Daytona Beach, Florida.
And there was rumors that we were a special group and that we would probably be going overseas. But you don't have to go if you don't want to. Well, after I'd been through all this, I decided, well, I guess I'm going to go.
And then she shipped out over the Atlantic to North Africa, and then
put us on airplanes and sent us to Italy.
Harriet spent the war sending teletype messages for the Allied forces in the European theater. While over there, she met her husband, and they married in Italy. But due to supply shortages during the war, they had to get creative when it came to making her wedding dress.
The girls decided in my room, there was 10 of us in the room, and but one of them, she decided, well, she would make my wedding dress. And I remember they stood me up on a chair and put this big parachute silk around me. So my dress was made out of a part of a parachute.
Do you have so much pride for what you did, that you were the greatest generation and part of the biggest battle, arguably, in world history?
Well, at the time we didn't, but now I do. I think, I guess it was one of the biggest generations, and I guess I do think that I'm proud I am part of it.
A living legacy and honoring those who paid the ultimate sacrifice and aren't here to tell their stories today.
Well, Harriet worked at Juvenile Shoes for more than 20 years, and her husband died in 1968. Now, her brother also survived the war, and she said she kept in touch with her roommates for many years, but sadly, she believes she is the only one left. Now, these days, she enjoys doing crafts and watching NASCAR. And coming up, President Trump is dealing with wars in Israel and Ukraine. We'll have the latest. And later, we're making a chili dog bubble bake in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. 170 trucks filled with medicine, medical supplies, and food crossed into the Gaza Strip Monday, according to the Israeli military. Israel says the trucks belong to the United Nations and other aid organizations. They entered through the Kerem Shalom crossing after undergoing a security inspection. Israel faced massive pressure from its allies and other global forces as health experts warn a famine is imminent in Gaza. The country has since begun letting in some humanitarian aid last week after an almost 3-month blockade. The Trump administration is struggling to advance peace talks in the wars between Israel and Gaza and Ukraine and Russia. The president has suggested he's considering new sanctions on Russia, and the DHS secretary traveled to Israel to express her support. Natalie Brand has more details from the White House.
As the Trump administration tries to help broker a ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas, Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem visited Jerusalem Monday, offering condolences following the killing of 2 Israeli embassy staffers in Washington, D.C.
President Trump extends his greetings and his grief to all of you, and he stands with you as we fight this hatred in the world.
According to the news site Axios, White House envoy Steve Witkoff said he's disappointed that Hamas has failed to accept his proposal for a new hostage and ceasefire deal. President Trump is also expressing increasing frustration with Russian President Vladimir Putin as Russia continues to bombard Ukraine amid ceasefire negotiations. Congressman Don Bacon is among Republicans on Capitol Hill calling on the Trump administration to impose new sanctions. He says peace talks are having zero effect on Putin and the U.S. and allies must arm Ukraine to the teeth and sanction Russia to the max. Germany announced Monday that allies in Europe will allow Ukraine to fire long-range missiles into Russia to strike military targets. The U.S. eased restrictions last year. The European Union is also agreeing to speed up trade negotiations with the U.S. following President Trump's threat of 50% tariffs on European goods.
The president, said talks last week were going nowhere. Do you feel like there has been progress or that there can be progress?
Well, yeah, there can be progress, but we need a lot more progress. So the progress was slower than in most of the other negotiations, and that's why the president did what he did. I think it was a prudent call.
Following a call with the president of the European Commission, President Trump says he's extended his deadline until July 9th. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
EU officials say the first calls between the EU and U.S. negotiators is taking place today. And still to come on KOAM News at noon, Mr. Food.
Memorial Day weekend might be over, but that doesn't mean our love for hot dogs is over too. We've got a way to dress them up so you can serve them for dinner this week.
And when will we dry out? Well, it's not today and it's not tomorrow either, but it is coming soon. The latest when we come back. Welcome back to the KOAM News at noon. So clouds, they've been hanging around for quite some time out there, and they're still there, as you can see from downtown Pittsburgh. Now, we didn't get the rain we were expecting through the morning hours. That's a good thing. But we still do have showers and maybe a couple of rumbles of thunder starting to increase in coverage out there across southeastern Kansas initially here. So around Garnett, outside of Mound City, Iola, Yates Center, Burlington, down to Chanute. And we get a little gap. We've got a shower here northwest of Independence, and we got a slightly heavier shower south of 60 into southeastern Ottawa County. And then we've got additional showers Delaware County, and then stretching back from Tulsa, Bixby, Locust Grove, Claremore, just outside of Craig County and south of Veneta. All of this will gradually fill in. Just what's happened is it's been a little slower to develop and a little slower to fill in, but you can see it is beginning to take place. What that's done is that delays the rain starting. It doesn't seem to impact, based on the future track, how long this rain sticks around, though. We're still looking at it getting out of here at a reasonable hour, which means we don't have to worry about as much rain on top of all the rain we've already had. So we roll into the evening hours, still a few showers, maybe a rumble of thunder, no severe weather. Clears out. We're done. We're mostly cloudy overnight, and we'll have that dense fog that we'll need to start watching after about 10, 11 o'clock tonight. That'll build in. So again, just remember, plan accordingly for your commute, or if you're heading out tonight, just make sure you're ready for some of that dense fog out there. By Wednesday afternoon, partly cloudy skies, mostly cloudy skies, kind of a mix, but that allows us to warm up a little bit more tomorrow. We're going to see a lot more low to mid 70s for most of us, but of course further south might be a little warmer. And as we go later into the evening hours on our Wednesday into Thursday, we start to see more scattered showers and thunderstorms. At this time, no severe weather is expected, but we will start seeing thunderstorms increase overnight heading into early Thursday morning. We'll continue with these scattered showers. Again, maybe a rumble of thunder Thursday, but as you can see, the bulk of it clears out pretty early. Here we are Thursday at 5. We just got a couple of splotchy showers out there, and once we get past about 7, 8 o'clock Thursday and going into Thursday night into Friday morning, where'd the clouds go? Where'd the rain go? It went away. And we're finally going to get a bit of a break from all of this. All right, rolling through the rest of the day, though, again, we should at least make the mid-60s. Some of our southern counties a little warmer, but otherwise most of us mid-60s, north breeze 5 to 10, and we got these cloudy skies to contend with. Back into the upper 50s tonight. Patchy fog out there, and again, some of it could be dense because we'll have plenty of moisture in the air and on the ground, and winds will be calm with those mostly cloudy skies. And then the afternoon, evening showers, thunderstorms out there, building in low 70s for most of us, and a northeast breeze at about 5 to 10 as we roll into our Wednesday. Thursday, a little cooler because it's going to be a little cloudier, a little showery. That's all. But look at Friday. Look at that icon. And in case anybody forgot, that's the sun. That's what it looks like in this little art here. But yeah, it's going to make a return. Now Saturday, you can see we do have some pop-up storm chances. It's nothing at this point to worry about, but since the weekend, look at those temperatures. Sunny skies otherwise, low to mid 80s. Since the temperature is going to be nice, the weekend's going to be improving. You need to remember for Saturday, if thunder roars, head indoors, because with a couple of those pop-up storms, you don't want to take any chances. You want to make sure you got a place to go. Otherwise, once we get past Thursday, we've got a few days of some pretty decent weather and warmer weather as well.
All right. Sounds great, Chris. Thanks. Well, stick around. We're making chili dog bubble bake in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. We'll be right back. Howard's making chili dog bubble bake in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
I hope you enjoyed your long weekend. If you're like most Americans, you probably had hot dogs yesterday as we kicked off the unofficial start to summer. If you have a few dogs left over, grilled or not, we have an easy way to turn them into a fill-you-up casserole that is comfort at its best. The first thing we want to do is cut about 8 hot dogs into half-inch chunks. As I said, these can be ones that have already been grilled or right out of the package. Now, we add those to a couple cans of chili, along with some chopped onion. After mixing this well, we sprinkle it with lots of cheddar cheese. To make this a real showstopper, we top this with a package of refrigerated biscuits that we've cut up and tossed with butter before popping it in the oven. This is a perfect dish to turn those leftover hot dogs into a hearty summertime casserole that's always welcome. When this comes out of the oven, smothered with cheese and topped with buttery biscuits, it's nearly impossible to resist. The recipe for what we call chili dog bubble bake is online now and is one of those recipes that you're going to want to hold on to all summer long. I'm Howard with Kelly in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a comforting summertime way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
Today's recipes on KOAMNewsNow.com. Now here's a look at the 4-state market prices.
All right, so again, a few scattered showers, maybe a rumble of thunder today and once again tomorrow afternoon, but we will get that break tonight with some patchy dense fog. A few more showers Thursday, finally clearing out a bit for the weekend, maybe an isolated storm or two Saturday, and temperatures warming back up a little above average in the low to mid 80s.
Oh, look at
Can't
that.
wait to see that sun.
Oh, same here.
All right, Chris. Thanks, Dowdy. Up for us later on.
Well, lots coming up at 5. For starters, if your allergies are feeling worse, well, climate change might be to blame. Allergy season is getting long. We'll explain why. Plus, as the warmer months approach, pests are more active. We'll have some tips on avoiding them. And a look at traffic safety as we enter the 100 deadliest days of summer for teen drivers. Join us for those stories. A lot more, of course. It's coming up on KOAM News at 5.
All right, Dow. Thanks. And that's the news for now. Thank you for joining us. Have a great rest of your day.